You ever make like some money mistakes so bad that you could just go back in time and just grab yourself and be like, what were you thinking of? Why? Why? All right. Well, in this video, I'm going to talk about the 9 worst money mistakes that I've ever made so that you don't have to. All right. Or if you have, at least stop making that mistake. Hey, I'm Ronald, and if you're new to this channel, I talk about finance, tech, and productivity. I did notice that in this channel, most of the people that watch are not subscribed. So if you could do that, that would be awesome. And it does help the algorithm. So I do appreciate it. Now let's start with the first money mistake, which is to not have a long-term plan. Very simple concept: to actually know where you want to be in a certain number of years. I was earning money, but I had no clear roadmap. And without any hesitation, I just drifted. It's like I just put money here and there for whatever thing that I want to get at a certain point, but I never thought in terms of like 10 years, 20 years down the line. And had I done that, at least things would be a little bit more clear, and then I'd be more strategic with the way that I handle money. Number 2, one of the worst mistakes that I made is I depended too much on accountants. My taxes were not that complicated, but for whatever reason, I just felt a little intimidated by it, and I did not take the time to just learn how to do my taxes. Really, all you need to do is just have an accountant that you think is good, do your taxes, and if you think they did a great job, keep the records and then try to replicate what they did. I didn't do that. I thought about it, I didn't do it. I knew it that I would probably do it eventually. I never did it until like later on. In general, a lot of time I just thought about really good things to do and I just did not execute. So that was mistake number 2. The third money mistake is that I avoided investing in property because it just sounded like too big of a deal. Like I thought real estate was risky and complicated, but in reality, I just missed out on appreciation. Also thinking about rental income and tax advantages. I didn't even know about tax advantages. In fact, it was my mother that forced me to get my first property because she was staying with me for a while, and she just kept nagging and nagging and nagging at me, and I just didn't want to hear anymore. So I was just like, fine, and I went ahead and did it. And the mortgage was not that different from the rent. And then I learned about all these tax advantages and then found out about the appreciation. And I was like, wow, I should have done that way back, as soon as I got like the first corporate job right out of college. And I shake my head when I talk to people about it, and they're like, I don't know, like what if I want to move? When you have property, it's not like you're in prison. You can always sell it or even rent it. The majority of the time, it's a minority of the time that you would be forced to stay there because you absolutely can't find someone to rent it. You absolutely can't sell it. The fourth money mistake, I found out about HELOCs, home equity line of credits, and I was just like, oh wow, I could just like get all this cash just borrowing against my property and just like pay it back. That sounded like really enticing because at the time I wanted to get this really fancy car. It was a convertible Lexus, an SC430. It was a pretty cool car, and it costed like 60 something grand. And I pulled money out of my HELOC and convinced myself I'm going to use this as motivation to pay that HELOC back, and then I'm going to have this nice car also. I was going through like an early midlife crisis. I wasn't even midlife. But it was a silly mistake because I ended up having to move soon to California from Chicago, and I wasn't going to bring that car, and I had to sell it. And I only had that car for like a year and a half, and the depreciation dropped significantly. I ended up selling it for like 42 grand. So literally, I could have leased that car, got my fix, and that would have been like a better approach if I really wanted to have that toy. So I felt silly. But at least I was able to sell it, and it was something. So I bought an expensive toy, enjoyed it really for 3 months before I started getting annoyed by it, and then eventually had to sell it. That was a big one. That was a big mistake. Number 5, I didn't take time to learn about money strategies. For example, when I eventually did get my home, I was thinking I should try to like pay off my mortgage early. But then someone was telling me like, wait a minute, why do you want to pay off your mortgage early? Because if you have like this really low interest rate, it makes more sense to just take your money and then like invest it in some index funds. And I was like, what? I just thought paying things off early always made sense, which in general, for a lot of times it is true. Like for student loans, for credit card debts, yeah, where they have high interest rates, that's just has money flying out the window. But if you have a mortgage that has a 2.5 interest rate, and you could be taking a chunk of cash and earning 8% or 9% from the stock market, it's ridiculous to try to dump a bunch of money into a mortgage to pay that off when you could be making money. Number 6 on the list is I did not learn about how people made money, like really successful people. Now it's a little easier to just look online and see what are the most popular industries that people tend to be in that make money. And you could just like look on Google or ask AI like ChatGPT. But even back in the day before ChatGPT, I could have taken the time to see the most successful people. How have they made their money? What are the industries? That would have affected what I studied in school. That would have affected how I approached my career. That would have affected the way that I start doing investments. But I didn't do any of that until later on. And it really boils down to something very simple. You want to be great? Study great people. Read about what they've done. The books are out there. People like writing about themselves, most of them. Number 7 on the list is when I moved from Chicago to California, I sold my property right before the 2008 market crash, the real estate crash. And sometimes I actually think I'm the one that caused the crash because it happened like literally like right after I sold it. I made a lot of money from the property, and I wanted to have a chapter 2 in my life where I was exploring like a new career, whether or not to be a TV writer in the entertainment industry. And I took like 2 years off, just like living off that money, living below my means. And in reality, that was a mistake. I could have taken time off. I could have taken maybe 3 months off, but then I should have gotten like a part-time gig and then take all that money and then invest it in the stock market. Had I taken some time to learn about the stock market and then investing like maybe even Bitcoin, Bitcoin back then, forget about it. Which, by the way, I'm already like foreshadowing my number 1 reason. Okay, so number 8 on the list is started learning about money too late. I didn't understand what index funds were. I didn't know what a stock market was in terms of like how it actually works. I didn't know the difference between a Roth and a traditional 401k. I didn't know the difference between a Roth and a traditional IRA. I heard of 401ks and I invested a little bit in that because employers kind of like force you to, but then that was it. So this brings me to the last number 9 biggest money mistake that I made, which was that I started investing late. I almost said too late, but there really isn't such a thing as too late. There's really late or really, really late, but doing some investment at any point is better than none at all. If I have kids, I'm going to make sure that they start investing, even if they know that the value of it, because I could talk to them about it early and start doing it on their behalf. But like once they're teenagers, I could educate them and then have them their own accounts. Even though they're under 18, there's a thing where it's referred to as a custodial account. Okay, I could set up a custodial account. so that they could start learning about investments on their own. And by the time that they're in their early 20s, then no more custodial account and they're good to go. And they understand like the value of it. But that's neither here nor there. All these things that I mentioned, I address them now and I'll be all right. So better late than never. But I did want to share some of these mistakes. If you're in your early 30s, your early 20s, I know it sounds like a space year, thinking, 30 years from now, leave me alone. I don't need to start investing. I got things and bills to pay now. Don't think like that. That space year that feels like there'd be flying cars in the future comes quick, and there probably won't be any flying cars. But you could have a nice car if you have your money set up straight. And honestly, you'll probably have a comfortable car and won't be caring so much about something to show off. So yeah, as you get more sophisticated with money, you learn to value the stuff that really matters, meaning having assets that bring you income rather than assets that just eat up and depreciate. Eat up income and depreciate really fast, like cars do. That's it for this video. If you got some value out of this video, make sure to like and subscribe and drop in the comments. Let me know. How old are you and what age did you start investing, or did you not? And if you didn't, what's holding you back? Is it because it feels like a space year and you'll be all right for now? That it sounds so far away that you don't need to start investing? I was once like you, my friend. That's it, folks. I will see you in the next one. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you check out this video also, or this one, wherever it's pointed. Okay. All right. Talk to you later.